What's up, y'all? It is season 5 of the Hood Talks podcast, and we are bringing you the Hood Hill segments. This is one of our segments where we get to talk to all of the great folks in the space of mental health, okay? Because mental health is important, and we need to make sure we is good, okay? Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the things. And we're going to talk about all of that in this segment, in this space. In this episode, we talking about the cliche of self-love. Yeah, I can't wait to get into this conversation, okay? Because everybody be like, self-care, self-love. You got to love yourself. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about all that today. But before we get started, I got to bring my girl on season 5, and guess who's back? Shantae Love is back. What's up?
Yes, season 5.
Season 5.
I'm feeling good. Season 5, 2005 is going down. I love it. I'm so glad to be back. This all because of you and everybody that be watching. They be like, we need Shantae, and we're going to get it back. We're going to get it.
Yes, girl, you are back. Back with all the jokes and all the fun and all of the things that we need when we talk about these heavy things in this segment. Because this segment can get a little heavy. So we need a little light. Y'all, we got a great conversation for you today with a great, fabulous guest. And I cannot wait till she introduces herself, but also till we get into this conversation because she's bringing expertness to this space. Is that a word? I don't know, but I'm using it today. All right. So, Dr. Leslie, please tell the folks who you are.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leslie Davis. I'm a relationship therapist. I'm licensed in Illinois and Missouri, so I'm right across the river in the Illinois side is where my office is located. But I primarily work with single women who are struggling in relationships. I also work with couples, and I work with teens to help them navigate relationships with family and friends. And I just love what I do. I just love to help people. I have a lot of background working with pregnant moms and moms whose babies have heart conditions. And yeah, there's so much.
Yes, bringing all the skill set. I love that. Single women, couples, teenagers. And I think we need to talk about all of that on this.
All right.
Self-love. Ooh, we're going to get into it. But Shantae, what you got for us?
Yes, because we're back for season 5, and we are coming back with something that we just love to do as an icebreaker, just to kind of get the flow of everyone coming together. So we have 2 that we do. The first one is, it's a more tame version of, what is it? Unalive, Marry, Kiss. It's a more tamer version of that game. So it's called Who Are You Hugging, High Five, and Hanging Out With? So I'll go first. Who I'm high-fiving? Probably Cynthia Erivo, because Wicked was everything. She just sang Home on the Oscars. Like, I love that woman. That woman is everything. Like, I'm high-fiving her because she is awesome. Who am I hugging? You already know I'm hugging Michael B. Jordan. I love my man. I miss my man. And I love living in delusion for that man. He got a new movie coming out this week.
Okay.
It's a scary movie, but I'm going to go see it because that's my man. And I got to support him at all costs.
I was saying, you got to support your man.
All the time. All the time. If not me, then who? And then who I'm going to hang out with? Let me see. I'm probably gonna hang out with my little one. I have 2 kiddos, and I'm gonna hang out with my little twin, Aria. We actually did have a girls' weekend this weekend, and she low key annoying like her mama was at that age, but that's my homie. So I want to hang out with her because I know in a while she probably won't want to hang out with me. So that's who I want to hang out with.
That is so true. I'm going to go, and then Dr. Leslie, I'm going to let you go.
Okay, I got to think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some time. I ain't going to put you on the hot seat just yet. I'm going to go, and I'm kind of going where you going, Shantae, for obvious reasons I'm going to talk about. So who I'm hugging, I am hugging Black women I know there's a lot that's been going on this year so far, which we just made it to March, and it's Women's History Month. Woo! So shout out to that. But I'm hugging all the Black women out there because we said we taking some seats this year. I need to have several of those seats. But we said we taking some seats and we sitting down and we sitting back. So I want to hug all of us that's like, yeah, y'all got it, and we back here, okay? we in it, we over here minding our business this year. So I'm hugging all of us who on that level. I'm giving a high five to I'm giving a high five to myself for being consistent in this space of bringing us back season 5 and bringing us back a different segment as well. So shout out to that. And the Connect is back with this event. So we got a lot going on this year. And I'm hanging out with my little one. Well, she ain't so little no more. My oldest about to be 7. So her birthday is this month. And yeah, I can't wait to hang out with her and just shower her with all the love for her birthday month. So shout out to my baby. Happy birthday.
All right, let me think about this. So when I think about who I want to hug, there's so many people that come to mind because I'm a hugger. But I would say the first person that comes to mind is my PhD bestie, Dr. Sharice Johnson. She is far away from me. We actually connected online, so I've only seen her in person twice in my life, but we talk every day. So I would love to see her in person and give her a hug. Who am I high-fiving? I want to high five like all the boss women that are showing up in spaces that are, male dominated, whether it's with the sport or in their careers. Because especially with Women's History Month, like I think we make history, but our history is not really talked about unless we're talking about ourselves. So for all the boss chicks out there, I want to high five you. And who am I hanging out with? My son. So my son is about to be 21 this month. And we will be going to Vegas to celebrate his birthday. But what we like to do is we pick a show that we watch together, and we're committed to this. And so we just started watching Grey's Anatomy from season 1, episode 1. So we're only on season 3 out of 20. So that's something that we do at least, every 2 to 3 nights a week. We're watching TV together, and that's our show for now.
It's like going to Vegas and turn up. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that for him. I love that for y'all.
The next one we do is it's a mental health check-in. So if it's anybody, whether you know them or you don't know them, that you kind of want to give them space to do a mental check-in. And I want to do a mental health check-in on the government, because is you okay? Because I don't think you're okay. We're not okay. Y'all not okay. I don't know what's going on, but I only got enough bandwidth to handle what's happening in Missouri, and now it's everywhere, and I just can't. Is you all right? Because I don't know that they can't read the Constitution or what's going on, but I just think we need to stop and give the government a mental health check-in.
The whole system needs a check. We need to check the whole system. I'm with you on that one. And I think who I'm going to check in on is the folks working in government, because I can't imagine getting some emails that's saying like, hey, I'll buy y'all out, and you only getting not even half of what you probably was making. And just being like, yeah, get this $25,000 and go on about your business. So anybody who is operating and working in the federal government right now and maybe dealing with what's coming down on them. So it's a lot, y'all. I think I'm going to say this, and I'm going to leave it at that, because y'all know I can go down a rabbit hole. But I would just say, I know it's easy to tap out, but this is the time to tap in. So don't tap out. I know it's a lot to watch. I know it's overwhelming, but definitely tap in, find some spaces to figure out how you can get involved. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I will add to that, because I want to do a mental health check-in for the single moms who have already been struggling, and then now this sense of fear has come upon us with possibly losing different programs that we need to survive, just to go to work or just to feed our babies. So I want to check in on y'all.
Yes, I don't know if some of them can even grasp what's happening because they're so deep in survival mode, and how this really can truly impact them, the children, the families, like all of the things. I mean, from every angle, and it's just so sudden and it's not necessarily out of nowhere. I ain't gonna say that, but it's definitely sudden, and this could make a really make, I think, break a lot of people. It's unfortunately going to affect a lot of people, and a lot of people just don't even know yet. They haven't grasped what could come. So I'm with you. Single moms, families, our elderly. Let's not even talk about, like, it's so many different folks that really are going to be impacted by some of the decisions being made at the top level. So unfortunately, that top does trickle down. And when you have a state that aligns with the federal, it impacts you even more. So you don't have that state cushion to fall back on. So in our state, Missouri, it definitely aligns. So we gotta tap in. Real talk. Single moms, find your space, find your way to tap in some way so you can understand what's going on and you can get the resources you need to counteract what's happening. Even if it's the mental health to help you get through. Right? Yeah. So that's important. Whew, it's already getting heavy. All right, so we got a lot to talk about because self-love, I wanted to name this the cliche of self-love because I think we hear that in self-care so much. And I even, to be honest and transparent, I struggle with self-care and sometimes self-love, right? In the depths of self-love, because we're going to get to the nitty-gritty. And I want you to help us really, truly understand what it means when we say, and help us define and understand self-love. What does that really mean?
When I think about self-love, it's an internalized experience of being able to accept yourself for who you are. And I think that's what it is at the core. And when you're relating it to self-care is just a way to love yourself. So there are things that we do with self-care, such as, taking a walk or taking deep breaths. Those are self-care moments that lead to ways of self-love. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'll just keep it real basic at that. It's just a way of accepting yourself for who you are. And I think sometimes we struggle with that. We struggle with accepting ourselves because we get so many messages outside of us that tell us who we are that don't align with our values or don't align with what we think of ourselves. And there creates sometimes confusion of who are we, because we get messages from different people in our lives or society that tell us this is who you are and you have to stay in line with this and that's all you can be. And when that doesn't align with who we think we are or our experiences, we don't understand who we are. And so we have a hard time loving ourselves because we're told to do otherwise. We're told to make ourselves small or make ourselves quiet. And I can go deeper into that with this self-silencing that we are taught as women. So being able to love ourselves it's tricky because we're not allowed to do that sometimes.
That makes sense, and I'm leaving notes so I can talk to my therapist as well. Because even when we feel like we have it for ourselves, it just feels so hard to show that for ourselves. And I think that's why we're so caught up in it. It's like, well, Dad, do I really love myself? Because I'm not treating myself, in the way that I should. But I think as even Black women, we give so much. Like, how can we really start to hone in on us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me think about, like, historically as Black women, we were made, we're used as property, right? We weren't allowed to see ourselves as human beings. So if we don't see ourselves as human first, how can we love ourselves, right? If we're seen as someone's property or we're just an item or a tool to be used, where is their love in that? And, thinking about psychology, there's what's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where the sense of love and belonging is right in the middle of this pyramid of all the needs that we have. So if we start our basic needs of, food, clothing, shelter, right, then we need safety and security. And right above that is belonging. And being able to belong to someone or something is a way that we experience love. So in these relationships that we have with people or groups, right, whether it's family or community, and sometimes we don't have that. And so if we don't have any connections, it's hard to identify how to love yourself, because our people in our lives are our mirrors, right? So we are reflecting to each other. And I've read, and I can't remember what book it was, but when I was learning about love, what does love mean? Love is a reflection of ourselves to one another. And so if we are thinking about self-love, how can we reflect love to ourselves if we can't even try to look at ourselves in the mirror and look at ourselves internally? And if we don't have people in our lives to show us who we are, so reflecting back, this is who you are to me, how can we see ourselves to be able to love ourselves? So self-love requires connection.
I never thought of it like that. I think that was impactful right there. Self-love requires connections. Because I think, going somewhat to what Shantae was also saying, and from my own personal experience, I think I've loved people more than I've loved myself. And then when it comes to times of me trying to love myself, I feel like I end up battling because I no longer have the ability, not necessarily to love the people around me or give so much to the people around me. Capacity, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't have the capacity to love other people the way that I have. And so then I feel bad about that, because I'm like detaching, because I'm over here loving on myself. I'm doing the things that I love to do and I want to do, and caring for myself.
It's the sense of filling up your own cup. Like, a lot of people use that analogy of, like, if you're on the plane, you have to put your mask on first before you help someone else. And I like to think of filling your own cup first. You can't pour out what is not inside your own cup. So if you're not loving yourself, how can you love someone else? And loving yourself is not a selfish act. It's not selfish. And I think that's the misconception, that self-love is, I can't love anybody else but me. I'm the only thing that matters. That's selfish behavior. That's a selfish mindset, that it's all about you. Self-love is not making things all about you. Self-love is just connecting with yourself, embracing your flaws, loving yourself despite the things that you do wrong or the negative things that we think about ourselves. Loving ourselves in spite of is part of self-love.
I love it when you said about self-love is also, it's a reflection of the people around you, because there are times where I might not feel good about myself or love myself, but I've changed the type of people that I'm around, that they don't even let me talk about myself the way that I used to talk about myself. Like, I know I'm a good person and I know all these things, but the fact that I have people that reflect that back to me, not only in how they treat me, but how they see me and tell me how they see me. So, like, I think I'm starting to get a little bit spoiled when it comes to self. Just have that community around me of people who are actually letting me know that I'm worthy without telling me. They're just showing me. It's unconditional. Like, I think people are starting to realize what unconditional love really, really is. And it's not just like your kids or your parents, things like that. Like, when you get it, like, people you choose to have in your life, the frames, changes that mindset. And I'm starting to understand it now. And I think it's because of the circle of people that I have now.
Yeah. I think when you do change your circle, there are people in our lives that will speak into us. And sometimes people see parts of ourselves that we don't see in ourselves, right? They can see it first and they'll call it out. And eventually we get to a point where we can finally hear what they're saying and accept it. Like, oh, that is true about me. Yes, I am beautiful. Yes, I am smart. Right. Because we'll automatically tell ourselves something negative when we're failing or if we're not meeting our own standards. But people on the outside, they don't see our failures inside. They can't see the internal experience, right? They see greatness in us. There are people that will come into our lives and I guess pour into us with, like you said, not just words, just giving you space, giving your space to be yourself, right? How often do we get that? Not very often, right? I can just imagine. We don't get space to just be ourselves. We are often put into a box, especially as Black women. We are put into a box, into a category, and we internalize that too, where we have to show up a certain way because we're a Black woman. Even if it's something positive, we have to show up as being strong. We have to show up as being well educated or being the best at everything because we have to be better than everyone else just to get recognized, right? And if we lean into that, leaning to the expectations of others, that is not loving ourselves. That's not a sense of self-love. Vanna, what you got going on there?
Look, I'm just taking it all in because I fight with, again, just my transparency. Trauma can definitely impact the self-love aspect. But for me, like what you just said, like there's been time, a lot of my childhood where I felt like that's what I did. Like I was worried about other people's perception of me. And in this era of me finding myself and loving on myself, I care less about, and that's I show up as authentic as I possibly can and push myself to be my authentic self as much as I possibly can, and really had to figure out what that looks like, right? Because like you said, people would love to put you in a box, and thinking in my own terms of, oh, you hood, well, you too hood, you can't be in these spaces, or when I'm in these spaces, am I showing up too hood? Like, do I need to show up more professional? What I need to do? And low key, I just be like, you gonna get what you gonna get, and like Shantae Love said, I'm gonna know who real and who loves me and where I can show up by being able to see like how people accept me or even be like motivating me to show up my authentic self. And I've learned that I would say being in this space of motherhood, raising two girls who I want them to be able to show up their authentic selves. And I agree with you that Black women, we don't get those opportunities enough in our spaces, and we should.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're dropping a lot of gems, and I'm just taking them all in, okay? Because I think this is important, because I think what you said too, like people seem to think that self-care things means you love is self-love, and it's some real internal things that need to happen in order to really go through the process of loving yourself. It's not so much of the outer part, it's literally the inside and the acceptance. You said it well at the beginning. It's literally being able to accept who you are, and love yourself.
And you just brought up a great point about self-love, that it is a process. Some people think it's like you meet this final stage of being yourself, like, oh, I love myself and that's it. I've reached that point of self-love. And it's not just a one-time deal. Like, it's something you have to continue to do throughout your life. And sometimes you have to give yourself more self-love on certain days or certain times of your life where you might be struggling, you don't have anybody else to connect with, and so you have to do it for yourself. And there's some days where you don't need to focus on yourself because you're in this position of pouring out, right? So you have to eventually get back to filling up your own cup, and that's where self-love comes in.
You said something about filling up your own cup, and I want to get into that. Because what I would love for folks to take from this is ways that they can implement this in their day-to-day lives, right? So I would say, what are some deeper ways that you think people can implement self-love, versus so much of like the superficial things that, we kind of talked about before? But what are some deep ways to do that?
Yes, so a deep way, because I'm an emotion-focused therapist. So I'm all about, what do you feel? Why do you feel that? Where do you feel that? What do you want to do with that feeling? And in the Black community, I would so often say that we are taught not to accept our emotions, or we're only allowed to have certain emotions like anger, right? That's one that's acceptable and that's what's seen and promoted in our community. But to get to this place of self-love, we have to accept our emotions and own them. So when we're feeling sad, being able to say, I'm feeling sad, I'm hurt, I'm lonely, right? Being able to express that we're happy. Like sometimes we don't even allow ourselves to be happy. We don't allow ourselves to experience joy because we think we're stealing it from someone else. Or if we're too happy, then people see us as being weak and we're vulnerable. And that's not the truth. So self-love, a way to do that is own your emotions. That's the first thing. The second thing is be willing to accept your wins and celebrate yourself. And sometimes that's just a matter of, you know what? I got up on time today. That's a win for me, right? I was able to go to the gym. That's a win for me. It doesn't have to be this big successful moment where you win an award or you got a degree. It can be the little things. Like I decided I was going to do this. I had goals set for myself and I achieved them, big or small. And one way to keep track of your goals and your successes is to write them down. And so people don't know yet, but if you were following me on social media, I have my Instagram account, I have my Facebook account, and those recently got hacked just a few days ago, so they no longer exist. But those were spaces that I used not to just promote myself, but I used that for like a little journal. Like I was putting myself out there so I can go back and look at these memories. Like, girl, you did that. Remember that? Remember that date? You won that award. Remember that time you talked to that person? You got into that room that you weren't expecting? That was my way of celebrating myself. So you can use social media to do that, but you can also just use a journal or keep it in your computer, like write it down. And sometimes it's helpful, I would say at the end of the year or periodically throughout the year, go back and reflect on that. Look at what you've done this quarter. Look at what you did for the month. And when you celebrate the little things, you'll start loving yourself more because you're looking at all the things you've done. It's not just this one big moment that we have that shows us that we're loving ourselves. So that's number 2. Number 3, I think, Vanna, you mentioned that you do this, which is a beautiful thing, but I think more people need to be willing and feel safe to do it, is to be authentic. Okay. So being authentic is a way of loving yourself because you love yourself enough to show up in spaces as who you are. And being authentic is a way to build connection. When we're not authentic, we have fake relationships and we lean into toxic relationships. So the more authentic you are, you're going to attract people who are also authentic, who love you for who you are and are reflecting back, girl, this is who you are. Okay. So that's a way of getting self-love. And I would say the last thing, I have some notes written down because I didn't want to miss this, but one thing that we do to interrupt self-love is we talk bad about ourselves to ourselves. We have these negative thoughts and we might talk down about ourselves. We might stop ourselves from achieving success because we have this self-fulfilling prophecy that we're not good enough or we're not pretty enough or we're just not enough, period. And so when we can interrupt self-talk by speaking positive about ourselves, even if it's just doing daily affirmations or listening to positive messages until you internalize it and you can speak it without listening to that, you know, those are easy ways that you can start to incorporate self-love on a daily basis. So if it's a short mantra that you have, I am beautiful, I am strong. Like we see this in movies, right? And we see it and we see other people do it and it looks silly. But when you do it for yourself, you own it and you're like, I am beautiful, I am strong. Like who's going to tell me I'm not, right? You own it for yourself. And that's a way of showing up with self-love.
I love a good affirmation. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
What's your affirmation?
Yes.
Yeah. I like it in a song.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. Because then you're better equipped to repeat it and like own it.
Yeah, I like that.
I can't remember her name. I want to say, is it Tony? I can't remember the lady's name, but she does like song affirmations.
Yes, I know you're talking about.
Yes, I love her whole thing. But yeah, I love it. It's really dope. But yeah, I love a good affirmations, and I think for me, it's all type of affirmation. I have the affirmation app, and I kind of do on social media, like what you said. It's like a journal. It's a way for me journaling because I don't always like to write, and I had to find alternatives because I thought like I just had to write, and I was forcing myself to do things that I didn't like to really do. Like I'm like I gotta write. I want to write it out. I need to do a journal, and it wasn't working. So I had to find other alternatives, like for me, how to journal. And like you said, using social media, I do affirmation videos, or sometimes I just record myself venting, and I'll delete it, and or maybe I'll save it to look back on. But finding alternatives, because I think when we talk about ways to care for ourselves, we think of like the really basic ways, and try to force ourselves to do that, even with self-love. And it's like you don't have to do what everyone else does. Find what works for you. So I am a big like affirmation, speak up myself type of person, and I learned that through the quiz. What is the quiz? You know the quiz I'm talking about?
No. What is
Your
it?
love language.
This is a love language.
Love language.
Yeah.
Yes, the love language quiz.
I'm trying to get used to it. The doing affirmations. I pay attention to yours on Monday. My bad. This camera had to go off because I don't know what's up with this connection, y'all. I am so sorry. Yeah, the ones you do on Mondays, it be setting me up. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and repeat this, but let me twist it around. And then Aria has me writing notes in her lunchbox again. So that's having me be more intentional about what I say out loud, and even how she starts to love on herself. So I wrote her a cute little note this morning, a little black girl affirmation for my baby. But yeah.
I love that. The vet did something today too, and I was just like, my heart just like was like, oh my god, it's working. Because she said first she was like, I'm scared, and I didn't say anything, and she quickly was like, no, I'm not. I am brave, and I was like, yes. I praised her on that. I was like, yes, okay, to reframe your thoughts. I said you are brave. You're the bravest. So I was like, yes, like being able to do those things for yourself, and then see that your children are intaking it as well. It does make it even more like, especially going back. So I hate to keep saying it. I think men need to love on themselves too, but I just think Black women don't do it enough. I don't think we do it enough, and we're always searching for someone to give us the love that we deserve. We can get it. That could be a whole nother segment right there.
You know what? I was about to go there.
We got time. We can go there. We can definitely go there. We're always looking for people to, give us that love. I'm gonna let you take it because you're the therapist. Go on and spit us some game, because I'm sure you can speak on that.
It just reminds me of like all the toxic relationships, the ones that I've been in and the ones that I've seen, my clients go through. When you are looking for love outside of yourself, you will find yourself in spaces that are just full of chaos and dirt, and it's hard. Like you just plant yourself in that because you feel like it's a connection, whether it's healthy or not. When it's not a healthy connection, you're still connected, right? And you're connecting yourself to negativity, and you internalize that because you're connected to that person who is toxic, who's speaking bad about you, who hates you, right? Who wants to use you and disrespect you. And you learn that that's acceptable behavior because you're in a relationship. So when you are connected to this person and you're silencing yourself, not speaking up that this hurts, I don't like this, it's uncomfortable, and you stay in it longer than you need to, right? You don't learn how to love yourself, and you can't see the truth about who you are. You're not those negative things. People speak these negative words over us in toxic relationships as a mean of power and control. And if you can't speak positive about yourself, you are not regaining that power and control. That's all.
That was enough, because that's all that was enough. That bar was like, boom, like,
right, drop the mic.
This is the conversation I be trying to avoid in therapy.
Well, it's coming straight to you. You can't even.
Right.
We cannot no longer, I think, not address these things. Black women, we have to. I think it's like a part of holding ourselves accountable to ourselves. And we need that.
Absolutely.
I'm in that group. We need that, Um,
Because I
like
don't
you
want no
said,
more struggle love.
no more struggle love. It's to come
No
easy.
more struggle love.
And what
It
I
is. It's
found,
supposed
it's supposed to, but what I found though, real talk, like even in my relationship, um, I think that's why I was so like okay with getting married now in a sense, is
Mm.
because I felt like the relationship got easier because I was focused on loving myself. Like I wasn't so focused. I'm like, not that I ain't focused on my man, because y'all got me messed up. Don't be trying to come from my husband, okay? And it's like the more I did like focus on myself and care for myself, even in motherhood, like I feel better. And so then the relationship was better. It was easier because I'm not nagging about what you doing. You know what I mean? Or not doing. Like I'm not focused on you. And I think a lot of women become so solely focused on our relationships or our children, and that we tend to just forget about ourselves, and how to love on ourselves, and how to even care for ourselves. So I think that is important that we note that you have to, like you said, love on you first, and then everything else will fall in line, and you'll figure out how you want to be loved, right?
Mhm.
part. That
And it
part.
just, you're sparking something for me. My brain is going, right? But it's making me think about like the mental health perspective of disconnection. And when we feel disconnected in relationships, or just, it doesn't always have to be romantic, just any relationship, that can lead to increased symptoms of depression and anxiety. And when we experience higher senses of depression, that leads to suicidal thoughts. And sometimes people get so disconnected, even when they have people in their lives, they don't feel connected, or they will make attempts to end their life. And so being able to love yourself despite what other people are doing or loving you, the way they're loving you or not loving you, you are preventing yourself from ending life, premature death.
Yeah, that I used to work for the suicide crisis hotline, especially during COVID, and there would be so many calls in regards to ending relationships or domestic issues and things like that would result with them having those thoughts and needing. Thank God there's a platform for people to reach out, but it's just you never realize like it was a lot more than I ever really understood. But that disconnect, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard. It can be, especially if you don't have the foundation. And for me, it sounds like self love is the foundation, that prepares you for loving and being able to love and accept love, give love, and all of the
Right.
things. So that's how I see it.
Mhm.
Whew. I got one question as a therapist, and I know, like, going back to some of what Shantae just said about a lot of folks who are like, this is the end wits. I just want to get out of here. As a therapist, what are some warning signs for folks to note, maybe if it's them individually or maybe it's a friend, because you've had those girlfriends too, that you're like, oh sis, we need to get you some support, or maybe you don't, and you're just trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on, why is she acting weird, but what are some warning signs, that shows that someone is struggling with self-love?
Yeah. Well, any symptoms, of depression that creep up, or anxiety even. So with depression, if you are noticing your energy is dropping and it's staying low, or you're not motivated, or you're not wanting to be around people, you're isolating yourself. So if you're being invited to spaces that you normally would go to, and because you're not loving yourself, you don't feel comfortable showing up in those spaces, and you're starting to withdraw, and you say, I can't be there. I'm not feeling it. If you are noticing you don't want to talk, like you're just lost for words sometimes, that is another sign that you're leading towards depression. Another thing that comes to mind, as like a warning sign, is when you are intentionally sabotaging relationships. So there are people in your life that are being positive and loving you and want to be with you and want to show up for you, but you are sabotaging that relationship in ways that maybe you are not answering phone calls, not responding to texts, not sharing anything about yourself, not sharing when you are winning. That is another way of sabotaging relationships because you're not allowing people to celebrate you.
I heard that
And
too.
yeah, and for the people in your life that care, they might start to feel some type of way about that. Like, why won't you let me be there for you? And for the people that are experiencing that on the outside, the friends and family, that's a warning sign. Like, what's going on? Go check in with them. Show up. If you got to knock on their door and be like, hey, I'm here. I don't care what you feel, right? I'm here to show up for you because you're not showing up for yourself. Sometimes we have to do that.
That's real. Go check on y'all friends, especially the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a season where I had someone actually show up. It was I was postpartum depression, marriage was ending, I wasn't working, and I had a friend was like, you got 20 minutes to continue doing what you're doing, and you're gonna take a shower, and then we're gonna go and we go to this. Like, a shout out to Melissa, because it can get really dark really fast. And if no one cares about you enough to pay attention to the fact that you might be acting a little different, then it's just get community either way, any way you can, whether it's friends, families, regular support groups. The old lady at the laundromat kept me going like for a good little minute. That little old lady don't know. She kept me going for a good little minute. Do check-ins, do weekly check-ins with your girls if you have to, with your guys. Shoot, because things can definitely happen fast.
Yeah. Ben, I think you had said something about not being able to accept love from others, and right, that's hard sometimes, but you can get love in spaces and from people that you don't even expect it to come from, like that stranger, right? There are people that God will put into your life just for a moment because you need some encouragement right then, right there, and they will show up for you, and they don't even know that they're doing it. But if you don't love yourself enough to accept love, you're gonna miss it.
Yep.
That's real. I was just thinking about that. I automatically went back to childhood. That was, I think I made it. I think I'm so strong about community because my childhood, that's who showed up for me when I was in my moment of chaos in childhood. It was more people who, like you said, strangers who would pour into me, who would say things about me, and that made me feel good. And I'd be like, they don't even know me though. Like, what is it? But I think that also goes to like, we need to slow down sometimes and just notice people more. I think we have this thing that we're moving so fast, and people don't even say hi for real no more. Like, just say hi, a smile, acknowledge people, give someone a compliment. If it's like, hey, I like them shoes, you put them shoes on, they really nice. You never know how that could impact somebody's day.
Absolutely.
I think that's how we be winning as Black women, though, because we do that anyway. Okay, shoes. okay, green jacket. Like, look, I will walk in a room intentionally full of Black women just to uplift myself. Like, look, because if I don't feel it, somebody gonna say something about it, and they gonna make me feel better.
You know what? That is so powerful. Like the experience of a group of Black women for us, right? When you see people that look like you, even if they don't have the same experience, like there is power in that. And I grew up in a small town, predominantly white. I was the only Black girl in my classes. And when I got to college, that was the first time I experienced a Black professor, and I experienced a group of Black people that cared about me. And I began to blossom in that space because we just showed up for each other, and you can feel it. It's so strong.
Yes. Black women showing up for each other. And that goes back to representation just matters. It does.
Absolutely.
And we need each other. We need that in community with each other. We do. We need those spaces. And the spaces where we could be our authentic selves.
Definitely so.
Yes. And just chill. See, that's why I love Shantae Love, though, because she gonna push up on me. She gonna be like, girl, we coming over. And I'll be like, okay. No, I don't be in the bed by 8, but I stretch it down, my Shantae. We had fun.
Yeah.
I was tired. We made it happen. We did the s'mores. We watched the movie.
That sounds like sometimes.
It was. The girls enjoyed it, too. So
It was.
It was. And I think we just need those spaces, and I need to do those more often. So shout out to Shantae Love for pushing me through, because Baby, I will. I'll work, go to sleep, take care of them kids, and yeah.
And repeat. And
and,
repeat. That's it. Like, girl.
and repeat.
I'm telling you. I'm doing it more for, and I love and I appreciate you. And I know you said, like, and I think I do that more for me too, because I know I need that space, because I, as a caregiver for my mom, a single parent to 2 kids, and everything that I do in the community and everything else is like, it's a lot. And I know I can isolate and I don't regulate my emotions well. I'm like, my homegirl might need this, but I'm feeling y'all cup and my cup at the same time. Like, I be needing it.
We do. We all need it. We need those spaces. So find your tribe, Black women. Love yourself so you can accept love from other Black women. Black people, find your spaces, find your tribe. Love yourself so you can accept love from other Black people, and we can thrive in it.
Because we all we got. What was that? We all we got.
Especially in this time, we gonna need to depend on each other. Okay,
Absolutely.
This is the time to come together. All right.
Really.
So, okay, y'all. Any last comments, thoughts, or anything you want to share before we log off, Dr. Davis?
I'm just grateful that you create this space for the Black community. It's so important, and I love that you show up as your authentic self, because other people who are scared to do that, they need to see that they can, right? And that you're unapologetic about it. So I applaud you.
Amen. We need more Vannas.
Yes.
We need more Shantae Lowe's. We need more Dr. Leslie Davis, because we need more Black mental health professionals so Black people can understand that we understand and we got each other, and we can be in the space of therapists, counselors as well. So
that's right.
It's some of us up and coming.
Dr. Leslie definitely called me out.
She called you out.
She definitely called me out. The first one was like, regulate your emotions. I was like, ooh, that's why my self-love is lacking, baby. I don't be regulating nothing. I was like, I wrote that down in big bold on that afterwards.
I sure took notes. You hear me? I'm like, I will celebrate your wins, girl, because that's what I want to me. I'd be like, moving on to the next thing. Like, you just did this. Celebrate.
Yeah, you never get time to breathe it in and like, yes.
I don't give myself that time. So I need to really focus in on that. We all got stuff to learn. So that's why I hold this space as well. Because we're all learning. And like you said, it's a process. You're not just going to have it done in one day. I think someone said it before. If you're never healed, you're always healing, because you're always going to be, finding something that you need to improve on, and changing it and adjusting it and celebrating that. And, it's a process. So it's never just going to be, I'm healed.
Life keeps happening. So we're always going to continue experiencing new things that we need to heal from. Yeah.
What you said.
I understand that, but I also don't like that. But that's all right. I don't like that. Like, I get it. It makes sense, but also, I don't want it.
I want to just stop and be happy for the rest of your life.
And I'm pretty sure when Michael B. Jordan recognizes me, I can do that. But until then, I guess you're just going to have to keep working at it.
Ooh, we back, y'all. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for this?
With better internet connection for me, y'all. I'm sorry. We're going to get it together.
It's the first episode. It always got to be a hater. It's somebody
and that Spectrum hating. I'm calling out because I paid that bill, but all right.
Well, Dr. Leslie Davis, first, I want to say thank you for joining us in our shenanigans.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you here. So good.
Yes, I do want to also give you space. If anyone wants to connect with you for maybe services or just for anything, like, hey, you might be great to here. I want to pull you here, or I want to maybe see you as a client. How can they reach out to you?
Yes, the best place to connect with me would be at my website, which is therealdrleslie.com. And I am also on LinkedIn under Dr. Leslie Davis. And all my other social media accounts are gone just from the last few days. It's okay. I'm rebuilding, but I'm also on YouTube. So if you look up The Real Dr. Leslie on YouTube, I'm also there.
All right. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Again, this is the first episode of season 5, the Hood Hill segments. Yes.
We need you to lock in. We need you to like, subscribe, share YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Your granny used Facebook. You could use Facebook. Show her a YouTube video because your granny needs some healing too. Your baby daddy, y'all not together, but he need to get some of this knowledge as well. Share these videos. Share this space. You are welcome. You are loved. You are wanted. Get them likes up.
That's right.
And on that note, we out.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and also follow us on all our social medias. And you can find all of that information at www.thehoodtalks.com.